Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's week 20 and this week it's all about hills and the Magic Mile. Alright, quick walk break. Talk about what I've been doing this week. This week, my marathon training plan that I've mushed in with Goofy called for hills. So I've been trying to incorporate hills into all of my regular running on my street and at the school. I did that hill at the school, it's pretty big. And today I'm running 6 miles. I'm gonna get a little jog here. This is free running. I'm doing 6 miles and then a magic mile for the 7th, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I'm out here at our fairgrounds, running up and down the parking lot area, so that's my hills for today. The squirrels are out in force this morning. I'll try to get some video of the squirrels. One thing I will say when it comes to all the hills I've done this week is, you know, I still don't do them very fast, but I can definitely tell with all the strength training I've incorporated, hills are a lot easier than they used to be. All right, time to run again. All right, done with 6 miles. Totally was going to talk more during that run, but I got caught up in what I was listening to. I was listening to the very first Run Disney Rundown, the DJI podcast and Mouse Jen, my sister and brother-in-law, that they did, because the first one that they did was talking about getting ready for marathon weekend of 2022. So I was like, that'll keep me going during this run today. Think about where I'm going. So what's gonna happen now? So I've done 6 miles. I have 7 on the plan today. I have never done a magic mile. So one of the reasons why I was running out here at the fairgrounds was because it's close to the school track. So now once I bring my heart rate down just a tad, I'm gonna hop in my car, drive over to the track, and do my first ever magic mile. Now, from what I've heard, I didn't go to the website and actually didn't even read about it in the Goofy plan, but what I've heard is that they recommend that you do these magic miles when they're on the training plan, that you do them either in the middle or the end. I think most people say the end, and the purpose is to fatigue your body a little bit and then go and see how fast you can run a mile in, and then you can use that time in Jeff Galloway's fancy little calculator. And it gives you suggestions for what your pace will be for half and full and intervals for the run walk. So I'm really not doing it for that purpose. I'm very comfortable with the intervals that I run and how fast I run them and all that, but I am just curious how fast I can run a mile because I've never done it before. So let's get over to the school and get that mile done because I'm kind of hungry and I want to go eat food. I've never done this before. Let's see. Okay, here's the 50-yard line. So I'll start at this dash down here. I'm gonna set up my camera and just go for it. I'll fill you in once I'm done. Whew. I don't know if I gotta run faster. I was trying to ask my stepson, the cross-country runner. I was like, do you start out as fast as you can right out the gate? Or do you go like 80 and you really try to push it, second half? I was super helpful, but 8:24, which is the fastest I've ever done a mile. I think previous my watch said that my fastest mile was 8:45. So there you go. Wilderness runner, Amy, magic mile, 8:24. Whew. All right, so that's 7 for the day. I have no idea how many miles I've ran total this week. 7, 10, 11, 15, 19 miles for the week. So I'm gonna go home, get something to eat because I'm hungry, and we'll talk about our med lesson. You guys gotta see this. Look at her legs. Happy Sunday. Here to close this one out. And I got to thinking this morning, and I'd like to apologize for the past couple of videos because quite honestly, I was even bored with them. And I think I'm just starting to suffer a little bit of burnout when it comes to training for this thing. I've never done something, a training plan this long before, and it's a lot of miles. And I'm just like starting to feel over it just a little bit. But I guess I just gotta keep trying to find things to motivate myself. We'll talk about how that plays into next week here in a minute. But our med lesson for this week is a good one. They're all good. I think I say that every week. This is marathon number 19. It's the 2014 Boston Marathon. He placed first with ended up being a PR of 2:08:37. His key lesson: we all have our day when everything clicks. If you recognize when it's happening, you can produce something that's bigger than yourself. And if you notice that date, this is the Boston Marathon a year after the bombings. So a lot of what he talks about, besides, he really wanted to try, he hadn't won Boston yet up to this point. And he wanted that. He talks about how it would just, seal the deal on his career, being able to win the different marathons that he had. He wanted to add Boston to that list. And he really felt how important it would be for an American. I forget it says right here, it had been 30 years since an American man had won Boston. And especially with this being the first year after the bombings, he really wanted to be that American that won, and to take back running and to take back racing from the really awful thing that happened in 2013. So he talks about how even from the beginning of that race, he was very strong in the lead but not pushing pace, and he hadn't planned to push pace. If there was a lead pack, he was going to run his own race. He really wasn't going to try to stay with that lead pack. And he couldn't believe how everything was lining up, and that's where he gets what he said for his lesson, is that he could see how that day was lining up for him to win, and he didn't question it. He had confidence in his training, even though he was still feeling the foot injury from the breeze strip incident, and his hamstring was bothering him. But even with all of that, the other people that would have been in that lead pack were having a hard time keeping up with him towards the end. So he took advantage of it and trusted his training, and he ended up winning. And he talks about how after that win, he just couldn't believe the response. The president called him. People told him stories how much it meant to see him win, and it did a lot for boosting his name and everything that he stood for. And one thing that he does talk about that I can't remember if I ever mentioned it in a video, but he talks about prior to race day that he did a lot of visualization, just when he was by himself, or just having the moment to
think about that race day and what his plans were as far as how to navigate the race, that he would do visualization, think about the different aspects of that race, Heartbreak Hill, Boylston Street, and just see himself running that finish. And I was like, I do that too. I started doing that a few years ago because I would get really bad start line nerves. So what I started doing is I would visualize those feelings that I would get, that nervous feeling that I would get going up to a start line and, having to wait for the race to actually start, and just place myself in that position and then channel it into excitement, into whatever my goal is for that race. And so that way when I actually get to that start line, I basically have practiced what to do with those nerves. And it works for me. So I like that that's what he did for Boston too. But I wanted to read a little bit from towards the end of this chapter here, what he says. When you do something above and beyond the norm, you'll touch others. You might not get the immediate and widespread reaction I did with my victory, but you know that your accomplishments will register with others. And when I read that, I thought about all of the, most of them are YouTubers, but the people that have inspired me to do what I'm doing. My sister and brother-in-law, Kristen with Running and Makeup, Gerald with Res Runs, Teresa when she was training with Kristen for Goofy, and Coach Heather Jurgensen, all of these people that I've been following for a few years now, that's what they have done. They've shown that you don't have to be super fast or look a certain way, or you know what I'm saying is they've inspired me to do something that even when I had first started running, when my stepkids were in middle school, if you had said, oh, you're going to run a marathon, and not only a marathon, but you're going to run Goofy, I would have been like, are you kidding? I can barely run 2 miles right now. These people have shown that you can do this. You have confidence in yourself and do the training and trust that it'll get you where you need to go. And I will forever be appreciative of those people. And I really can't. Those are people that are still currently running, but I can never forget my dad, who he has pictures of me as like a little girl doing 1 mile fun runs when I was really young. But I mean, I think he really started. Well, I don't know. I can't really speak for my sister, but even before my stepkids, watching my dad run, and he's ran in, I think, a couple marathons. I interviewed him in another video. You can go find that one from my early channel days. But he's done halves. He's done marathons. He's ran with my sister. He was able to run a few 5Ks with me before he had to take it back to walking. But my dad included with everyone else that I've already mentioned, and my running buddy Emily, and my other running buddy Donnie, and Kim, who you've seen, Brant, all these people, you fall into this category, and I will never be able to express how much of a blessing all of you are. And even some of the other YouTubers that I have yet to meet in person, who I've been following and communicating with. I mean, it's so cool that we're training for this weekend together, and that I might get a chance to see you there and just congratulate you and tell you how much I've enjoyed following your journey. I'm so excited for January. I just wanted to be here, and I think I need to enjoy that feeling that I'm ready for it to be here, but not let it feed into that burnout I was speaking about. And speaking of that, be sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because next week I'll be doing my 23 miles, and spoiler alert, I have to do the whole 23 miles on my own, which is actually something else he talked about in that marathon number 19, how it can be hard in those last like 10 or so miles in those marathon races without that pack to feed off of. He was running on his own, and it was a real mental game. And so now I get to have my own fun mental game, because we know how much I loved doing that Cocoa Beach half marathon by myself. No, I didn't. So this is going to be a good growing experience for me. I told my running buddy, who usually does these long distances with me, she has other job commitments, which is important. But I told her, I was like, this is probably going to be good for me. I got to figure out how to motivate myself and not lean on others. So I've got my podcast lined up. I've got other things to listen to. I'm going to, of course, bring my camera along, which will help as well. So yeah, 23 miles all by myself. Yep. So be sure to give this video a like and leave me a comment if you have any helpful suggestions for getting through 23 miles by yourself. I posted in WDW and got some good suggestions, and yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah, and like I said, subscribe. We're getting ever so close. I just got, you get the 23 and then a couple weeks and then 26, and before we know it, it's going to be here and it's going to be amazing. So I hope everyone is well, and always remember that you are God's masterpiece, and I'll see you next week.